Jason left a comment on yesterday's video asking me why I choose Obsidian. He's also talking about how he is using the Supernote. And I found that intriguing because my answer has everything to do with both. But let's start with Obsidian. It always felt familiar and it took me a while, but I understood why. If you look at Obsidian coming from Evernote, which is what I've been using for so many years, uh, there are so many things that are similar. For example, the way Obsidian handles the files, the order of the files, it let us sort them just like Evernote by creation date, update, alphabetic order. It's exactly the same thing. There are many other examples like that, but there's also the plugins. With them, I can use features that no longer exist on Evernote, and I love those features. For example, I can, I don't know, publish, I was discussing this yesterday, publish my notes as a website. I can see my notes on a map. I show this many times here on the channel. There's also a plugin to create the presentation mode that is long gone on Evernote. So there are many similarities. However, the way they manage files couldn't be more different. Which reminds me of a comment left by John Marshall on another video. He's talking about how difficult it is to to switch from Evernote to Obsidian because they are different. And I think that the problem is the file system, the way they deal with file, which is what I at the same time love and kind of dislike on Obsidian. It's weird because I don't think there's another app that does this, but everything that we add to Obsidian is a file on itself. For example, if you add an image to a note on Evernote, that image is now part of the note, and that's it. You don't have to deal with where that file is. But on Obsidian, you do have to deal with that because everything you put there is a file. Now, this why I don't like this, because you have to pay attention to this all the time. You have to be aware that things work like that on Obsidian. However, that opens so many possibilities, but really a lot of possibilities. And that's what I told John Marshall. You have to come with a different mindset, open your heart to it, and try to embrace it and use it in a way that try to figure out how to use it in a way that it makes sense. And what worked for me was bringing some notes and try to make that work, because there's a long learning curve, but I don't mean technically speaking, a long learning curve on how to do things. You have to do it in a different way. And having the notes there will help you figure out what works and what doesn't work, which plugin works better than the other. Okay, let's go back to the why, which is connected to this file system, the way Obsidian manages the files on our computers. I have access to it, control over it. So my book, for example, I'm writing a book about my timeline system. I'm doing that on Scrivener, which is an app that has nothing to do with Obsidian. There's no integration, nothing. But because both have access to the files on my computer, I can make them look at the same files. I talked about this on this other video here. It's so cool what I did. I really enjoy that. It's a crazy connection. And that's not the only thing I'm doing. There's many other things that I'm connecting like this. My blog posts, they all are created on Obsidian, and from there, using a very good plugin, they go to my blog, and from my blog, they are cross-posted to all social media. So there are many possibilities because I have access to the files and the file structure the file system on my computer is used by all the apps on my computer. That's so cool. Okay, let's talk about the Supernote, because I told you there is a connection there. But it's not only the Supernote, it's all this. The Supernote is just one more item that I can connect using this access to the file system on my computer. So I'm now synchronizing. I installed Obsidian on the Supernote. There's a video where I show this here, and there's also an article explaining how to do that. You'll find the links in the description below. And I can use my timeline system to start something on a Supernote, which is my the device I use for my creative process. Everything that any idea, everything that any thought, anything, I'll probably start doing it there. I also create many of the images, sketches for the thumbnails, many of the arrows, the little icons you see, I created them on the Supernote. And that is going to my computer using a system. There is also an article about how to do that, a video about how to do that. You'll find all the links in the description below. And that goes to my computer, which, if you start to connect the dots, can end up being something for my book. Let's say I had an idea, I wrote it down on the Supernote, or I sketched something that I want to add to my book that will go to Obsidian, will end up in Obsidian. And from Obsidian, I can probably move that, if that's the case, to a structure where my book, which is on Scrivener, will have access to. And that's my Supernote. Let me get it there. The new Supernote. But this is a topic for another video. Okay, where was I? So I sketched this. This was synchronized with Obsidian, and it ended up on Scrivener on my book. It's so cool. And that's why I find this, and that's why I use it, and that's why I find it, it's not Obsidian itself. It's also Obsidian because of all that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but it's this access to my files. It's not something that I think most people want to use, need to do, but for me, it's really useful. And this all ties together if we think about the video I published yesterday about the content, the connection of the content. As you can see, there's a lot that is connected. Most of the things that I talk about here, they are in a way or another connected, even though they are somehow completely different topics. So if I can create this wiki space on my website and make it a website, a wiki space, a blog, and whatever it is to share information, content, knowledge with you, I think that's going to be super cool. And that's one thing that I wasn't expected for this video. Everything is connected. So I started with something that had nothing to do with yesterday's video, and here we are. That's it for this one. I hope it was helpful. If it was, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to help even more, please consider supporting my work on Patreon or YouTube, or buying me a coffee. Thanks for watching. See you soon.